We worked with a little bit up. So we worked with a huge variety of illustrators, and we teamed up with 3 really good ones who helped us take that legal language that we were dealing with and make it into something as simple as an illustration. Okay, so we can help people understand that. And in each scenario, so what we do with those resources down. So what we do with those resources, we really simplify very 2 simple things: health, data use, and storage. So we try to help you understand how the scenario and a particular policy or law dictates it. And we're not just only focusing, on carding. We're focusing on a whole variety of different policies that coincide with carding, because people forget that it's not just one thing; it's a variety of things. We're in the data use, so people, there's a whole new infrastructure that can be created in order for people to understand what happens with the data. Till this day, not a single report or empirical evidence has been shown that data works to create community safety. Okay, and health. Showing you the connection between how it actually affects the community. Yes, thanks. Oh, sorry, you can get out of this. Back to slide. All right, our goals. Woo.
Oh, that's too far.
Our goals. We're crazy enough to think that we can create a better complaint system. Like really insane ideas, like actually speak to you in plain language. I know you guys can't see it, but you can see it in the slide if you get access to it. Just talk to you in really plain languages, perfect, just like a normal conversation. Identify what regulation actually you're dealing with, and inform you whether that actual interaction that you had with an officer was actually valid in the first place. And then from there, tell you where misconduct actually occurred prior before you setting up your complaint. These are things that we're allowed to do based on the new law changes. It was not the case before, but now it is. Goals for the future is that complaint process that we're doing, and also we're creating a resource book that we hope you guys will purchase in order to support our complaint process, because it's going to take a while. But we have a couple prototypes available and working. Last thing, I have just in regards to goals I have for Civic Tech. Please include questions in your live streams. That's it.
Good one.
That's it.
Thank you. Yeah. We're good. So I should have noted there is a 2-minute maximum. My apologies. That was my fault. I will stand here once 2 minutes are up and I'll stop blinking at you. And yeah, next group, come on down.
All right, so I'm going to try to briefly, as best I can, go over what Bike Space, formerly the Bike Parking Project, has been up to in this past year. All right, so the good. We built a prototype in 3 months, and I think the great thing about that prototype is that it just pays the price of admission to have those more detailed conversations with people. You don't know how valuable it is to have something tangible, to hold a phone and say, hey, this is what we're building. It solves so many problems. So that was a big achievement for us. We have a lot of fun as a team, and I think something natural and wonderful has happened with the team. The work we're doing is hard, but the atmosphere is lighthearted. And I think what's really important is that we build a space where we can trust each other and where we can share ideas and not feel embarrassed to do so. And finally, we became the first Civic Tech project in Canada to be government funded. And I'm going to keep saying that until I'm proven wrong. We can't take credit. The project was designed with this in mind. But it's done a lot. It's done a lot for our motivation. It's eliminated those small hurdles with just petty cash issues. And hopefully, that will increase our reach and exposure moving forward. All right, next slide. So the learning. We had a retrospective session, and I asked people, why do you come each week? And I wrote to learn from all these amazing people, and I thought I was so unique to say that. Everyone wrote that. So it's interesting to see, like, what is the motivation for us civic tech hackers? It's learning. It's developing ourselves and also making an impact. In civic tech, uncertainty is the norm. We've shed a lot of people in this project. We get new ones. Some people drop off the face of the map and come back having done something amazing for us. Henrik put it really well to me in an early talk I had with him. That he said, you just have to show up and be ready for the gifts that drop on your lap. Finally, I think we also learned that inclusive practices and a welcoming mindset are critical to our success. We use Django, not because anyone... Ooh, shit. I mean, yeah.
We'll cut that out.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't say that. We use Django not because anyone's an expert in it, because no one's an expert in it. So it's I thought that was clever of our dev team to do. Okay, New Year's resolutions. I'm hoping that we can expand what people think of as hacking into kind of non-technical realms. We really need journalists, we need communicators, we need videographers, we need a whole host of skill sets here. Something that we want to do as a project is reach outside this community and find beta testers and partners to promote our app and kind of, show what we're doing here. And also, I'm hoping that we can become an example in 2018 and show government that this really works, that this model really works. I want Kathleen Wynne to come to one of our hack nights and eat pizza with us. All right, last slide. The goal. So we're the first government funded. I hope we're not the last. I want funding for all the great projects that are going on here, so I want to explore a diversity of models to do so. I think we have to look outwards, too, and kind of lend our technical expertise and our design expertise to projects that need our help and to community groups that could use our talents. And the big dream I have is that we can somehow wrangle a space where we can kind of collectively work outside of these Tuesday night sessions, where we can kind of sit down and hack and have a space to lead our project. Thank you.
Next up! Oh.
So I definitely don't think 2 minutes is sufficient for all the questions you've asked and the responses you're expecting, so I'll definitely at least take maximum of 5.
You have 3.
4.5 minutes.
That's a negotiation.
4.5 minutes. Great.
3.
So hello everyone. I am Mohammed, founded Women in Color, but definitely a whole lot of shout out to Sharon and Aaron, who's not here at the moment. She will probably come in later. But definitely big shout outs to the team members. For those who do not know, can I make this up?
Yeah.
Women in Color is an online directory helping event organizers find talented women and people of color available for speaking opportunities at tech-related events in Toronto and across Canada and the US, which I'll get into soon. So what we accomplished. Key things, learn new framework, and by we accomplished, it's mostly Sharon and Aaron, because I was just like, I have no idea what you guys are doing. That included Sail.js, React.js, Material UI. At the same time, Sharon went on to build her first node-based backend and also deployed an API, which was awesome. And we're currently working to launch early 2018. I was like, what? Very good. So, things we learned. We definitely need to improve our onboarding process for technical and non-technical people. Key things included outlining clear goals and milestones for the project, but then also having sort of like bite-sized tasks for our developers, and at the same time having opportunity for non-developers to be able to come in and contribute somehow to the project, because it was mostly fairly development heavy. In addition to that, okay. So one key learning was that when we first started, we're like, yeah, let's use this syntax, let's use this framework, and we recognized that we only have about like an hour per week to work on it. So it's best to just use something that we're familiar with, or something that we can do here and we're learning outside of work. Otherwise, you're just going to get frustrated really soon. And lastly, everything will take longer than you expect it to. And it's not your fault or your team members. You just have to be patient and just show up every Tuesday. Next slide, please. Yeah, so where we're headed. There is quite a long list, so I'll try and be quick with this part. Launch your new site early 2018, as I mentioned earlier. Encourage our existing speakers to update their profiles, just because we have a lot more functionality that we're building in now. Then we're hoping to publicize the launch of our site to BetaKit, Metro article, which is also going to be coming out, and a few other opportunities that we can get our hands on. In addition to that, we're going to be expanding Women of Color across Canada and U.S. So three cities across Canada and 10 across the U.S. So keep a lookout for that, and we'll hope you'll also encourage your friends and family and colleagues and people you hate to sign up. Iterate the site based on feedback from speakers and event organizers. We think it's important to get feedback so we can iterate and learn and grow from there. And of course, we also want to make it easier and accessible to even more people by building Facebook, Slack, any other bots that we can once we get the framework ready. And lastly, create a weekly newsletter so that event organizers can say, hey, I need speakers for this event, and that email will go blast out to only the people that have opted in and make it a back and forth. It's more like a conversation to ensure that event organizers and speakers have a good community effect. Going on. Oh man, my emoji didn't work. Okay, so recommendations for Civic Tech TO. Build partnerships that promote our projects outside of Civic Tech TO. Shout out to Sharon for a lot of this feedback. Create a funnel for funding opportunities for Civic Tech TO projects. So I understand that Bike Space is the first one, but I'd love to see how we can either work with the government or the local municipality to create some sort of funding for projects that relate to the larger umbrella things at hand. Allocate 1 day per month to be used solely for working on projects. Like, I understand it's great to have speakers come in, but it'd be also nice to just have 1 day dedicated where you have more time to work on it. Lastly, it'd be nice to include gender pronouns as part of our introductions, just because I recognize that somebody may look like a man or a woman to me. That might not be their expectation of you or how they want to be spoken about. So I feel like that could be a more inclusive way how Civic Tech TO can be more welcoming to others. Lastly, this is a bonus, so hold on to your hats. Some vegetables would be great in addition to the pizza. Personally, like, that carbs is good, but some fiber would also be good for my diet. And I think that's it for me, right? Oh yeah, I think I'm a little hard.
Oh, that's us.
Yeah. Would you also like to negotiate how much time you have?
I'm going to try my best to be within the time limit.
All right.
Who's doing the thing? So we've been at this for 2.5 years. Well, time flies.
Woo!
Could you just go to the site for a few seconds? Who's doing the clicking here? As you can see, it's lovely. Oh, there. Okay, so just scroll up and down a bit. The point here being is that we're starting to see some content come to the site. Yeah, lots of numbers. Some of them are actually quite interesting, but I don't have time to get into it. So back to the slides. Because we've got Alex with this. Next slide. I just wanted to put up this this work by David Olchansky, which shows the change in Toronto in terms of income distribution from 1970. I came to Toronto in 1971, so this is clearly all my fault. But you can see that there's an income distribution issue, and that's just one of the issues that Toronto is facing. I think it's pretty indicative, and it's why we're here. It's why we have to be here. Move on. So we did a bunch of work over the years. Over this past year, 30 more articles in Medium, developed a good UX strategy and a number of other things. So we're doing well. We can always use help. If you're looking for a hobby, as I keep saying, come join us next. The main bit of learning here is that the city has developed this narrative that we don't have two nickels to rub together. It's not true. It's factually incorrect. I think there's a cultural reason for it. I think the counselors and the senior staff have kind of given up. They're overwhelmed. And we need to change that. We've got islands of excellence. We've got the data site. We've got the open data portal. We've got the transportation people. We've got the library. There's lots of millennials working in the city that are countering this, but senior management needs an attitude shift. Next. So for next year, we've got all kinds of data. We're going to try to learn how to tell stories. There's lots to that. We also would like to become a reliable place to go for actual accurate information. You know, look at the audited statements. There was a $1.2 billion surplus in 2016. There was an $800 million unbudgeted surplus. Come on, people, we've got room to manage things here. That has to get out. That word has to get out. Management has given up. They shouldn't. We have opportunities. Next. And the goal, I thought this was for us, but I think this probably applies to everybody. Let's just keep it real, as we are doing. I think we're doing really well. Okay.
Thank you. How long? Woo! My name's Raphael. I'm a he. I'm a pointy-headed bureaucrat at the City of Toronto. This has absolutely nothing to do with my work at the city, not at all associated with transportation services or the city. Anyways, so transit agencies all across the world are terrible at communicating their successes and failures. What if we use the data that they provide to show how well and how terrible they're doing, and do so in a transparent way such that other people can replicate this work, and do it in a way such that you, the people, can derive meaning and usefulness from this information? How reliable is the subway? How does that impact how I want to use it? Next slide. So good. We basically started this year. We discovered a secret API thanks to the Saucy Lab, from which we've been scraping data. Thank you to Sam, who was a huge help and then sadly got a job, but was like the most supremely productive volunteer ever. We got the scraper into the cloud. We've been scraping it for about 8 months. This data was kind of a one-man show for a bit. Now I've made some new friends this fall. I'm really happy that they're here. Not all of them here tonight, but they're here. Some of them have been keen to go into different areas, such as looking at a different set of open data that the TTC is providing, which is the delays. This is a plot of aggregate delay by day of week and time of day. Nope. Yeah. Despite my long history with transit data, I was not entirely expecting the messiness of this data. I have, in my grad school research, I did a lot of data fusion of transit data, which is kind of torturing transit data to do things that it was not designed to do, which is probably what a lot of data analysis is. But this is like really hard, and it's really hard when you're not actually working 40 hours a week on this problem, but instead just at Hacknights. And we're still trying to process this data. It's a bigger challenge than I thought. I ran out of free space on Amazon, and so just nothing was happening for 2 months until I realized that that was a problem and started paying. And onboarding and kind of retaining people has been a learning process. Lots of people have opinions about transportation, but then they give you their opinions and then they don't come back. Next slide. So I, in the new year, truly hope that we will finally get to a processed data set and can start doing more pretty things in designing graphs and dashboards and getting insights
continue to bring more cool people on board, and be better at managing everyone. More agility and reduces friction. That's a great question. I think that was the template. It's the cliffhanger. And so, what I would love to see at Civic Tech in the new year is even more transportation. Because I think transportation is awesome, and there's a wealth of open data around transportation, and a wealth of expertise in the city that is just dying to support more Civic Tech projects. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Micah from the Open Democracy Project. I'm a co-director of the Toronto chapter. And this past year was amazing. We did a ton of stuff, too much stuff. And we launched Democracy Kit, which is an open library of resources to help municipal candidates run campaigns for council, as well as provide a platform to connect aspiring campaigners with experienced ones. So we crowdsourced from campaign managers all across Ontario kits, basically, templated resources to run for council. And we launched the website on April 25th, which was an amazing landmark. And then we decided that wasn't too hard. Let's put on a conference. And so this fall, on November 18th, we put on Democracy Exchange, which is Canada's first civic campaign and technology summit. It was an amazing conference. We had 250 participants, 17 exhibitors, over 50 speakers, including Mika Sifri, who co-founded Civic Hall and the Democracy Forum Personal Democracy Forum in New York. And it was amazing. It was a really cool group of activists, technologists, politicians, people from the public service. It was awesome. And we couldn't have done it without the atmosphere created by you folks, by the Civic Tech infrastructure. So for 2018, we're looking to do Democracy Exchange even bigger. Democracy Exchange 2018. And I think the theme, we're floating it right now, is going to be on the digital reformation. We're floating it. We had a really amazing talk on Sidewalk Labs at Democracy Exchange. We brought up an activist from New York who has no imprint on the internet, like zero. And she's a radical privacy advocate. So it was a really fascinating conversation between her and the Waterfront TO folks. And we're also building out the kit in preparation for the election happening all across Ontario, fall 2018. And it's going to be amazing. We're really excited. We're holding a campaign training February 24th in partnership with Olivia Chow and the Institute for Change Leaders. It's going to be a good time. So if you want to learn more, come talk to me. And or if you want to learn how to run a campaign, come talk to me. Thank you.
Oh, is there any more?
I can do mine.
Yeah.
I don't need a slide for it.
You want me to hold that with you?
Hold it up.
All right.
Alright, so this is Wild Combination. It is a rapid ideation game that we put together. Originally it was for the Edit Expo, but that was too ambitious. So we made it for YIMBY, which was on Saturday. And the way it works is there's a deck of technology cards, a deck of scenarios, and a deck of different users and we asked participants to flip a card and come up with a service, feature, solution that satisfies it. So I flipped, I'm not going to do that one, that's a drunk, and that's probably not a good one for today. So how about a guidance counselor? And the scenario is a neighborhood resident is stopped by police for the first time and is unsure of their rights. And the technology is a bicycle sharing system. And based on that, you have to come up with something that resolves it. And the idea is that civic tech is complicated. There's some breadth and depth to get familiar with. Oftentimes, if you're a technologist, you might come with a predetermined idea of what the solution looks like. And if you're unfamiliar with the variety of people who might be affected by your solution, this introductory game to the civic tech space helps you get familiar with how much, all the different ways in which you can engage with the civic tech community. So there's an answer pad and instructions, and you can download all the PDFs from a website, connectedlab.com/wild combination. It will all be housed on the civic tech site, but right now it's only on that site. The learning is, this is not self-evident, apparently. The purpose of these wild combinations was difficult to communicate to certain people who are solution-driven, but it's fun. And for next year, the goal is to have it become part of the Civic Tech Toolkit. So Alex tried it out at Code for America conference, and there was interest there. So next year, hopefully more people will be using it to introduce a larger audience to civic tech issues. And this is Civic Tech's copy, so you can play with it today or at any other Hacknight.
Keep it up.
There you go.
That was amazing, wasn't it? There's so many projects, so many projects. It's overwhelming. And it's great, and it's wonderful. And hopefully next year, I'm just going to say, I hope there are even more, and this session's even longer next year. All right, moving on.